Okay, today's topic is when to jump into flow. What does flow mean? Okay, so flow is if you're looking at a river, you are seeing water flowing between the banks. So the water is flowing, and if you want to flow, it means instead of having a difficult life where you're, well, constantly wondering what order I need to do, my list of things that I need to get done. I want you to throw away that whole list of things. Throw them all away. Don't make a list. Now, granted, when you first start doing this, there's going to be some things that were on your list that are going to get forgotten. I guarantee it. So, why would you do it? To get into flow. Because your logical mind is a wonderful tool. But there's something better, and it's called flow. And it comes from your intuitive mind. Your intuitive mind is basically, more than basically, it is the actual mind of the universe. So when you use your intuitive mind, you're not thinking thoughts. You are getting into the gap, as the great Wayne Dyer used to say, to the gap. And the gap is when there's no thoughts going on inside your noggin. Well, to get to that point, the first thing you have to do is, well, just imagine you're going to be sitting down with your friend or your partner, and a lot of thoughts come into your head, and you just want to speak these thoughts. You just want to speak these thoughts. They're your thoughts and they need to be spoken. They're just like you just feel this urge, I have to speak these thoughts that are coming in my head. So, imagine you take scotch tape and you tape your mouth and you scotch tape your mouth shut. And what you do is you feel all the thoughts that you just have an urge to speak to the person across from you. And instead of opening your yip, so yip, Y-I-P, yip, it's a mouth, and to yip is to talk. So instead of yipping or running your mouth, it's just scotch tape shut. And you just let those thoughts that are in your head that you're just dying to go and say to the person across from you just let them run in your head. And that is how you recognize what we term monkey mind. In other words, these thoughts are just pressing on you. They're pressing on you for your attention. They're screaming at you, I have to be spoken to this person right now. I have to be spoken to this person right now. Ignore everything else. The thoughts themselves are like little beings. They're like little children that are trying to grab your attention, and they do a wonderful job. Because most of the time, you forget that they're anything except something that has to be dealt with. But they are things. They are things. They are energetic things, and they're very good at hooking your attention. I think that's a hair. That's disgusting. Now, what's really disgusting is when these little thoughts that come into your head and want to get expressed get past your remembering that they're not you, the thoughts are not you, and they're not your thoughts. And this is the thing that happens time and time again when you first start to meditate and watch your thoughts. You'll forget that these thoughts are not your thoughts. Okay, my t shirt today is annoying the world. What annoys the world? It's these thoughts. These thoughts that are rolling around people's heads, demanding to be expressed. They cause fights, they cause insults, they cause all kinds of trouble. All the trouble in the world can be reduced to thoughts. So, if you were to just take the scotch tape and scotch tape your mouth Or put down your phone, because sometimes these thoughts are very clever and they come into your head when you're just about to write somebody a message on your smartphone. Very insidious things, annoying thoughts. But if you can do that, if you can sit for 5 minutes with your mouth, maybe just go get some scotch tape and actually tape your mouth shut and sit there, and sit there with somebody you know and tell them this is what you're going to do, and tell them, see if you can get them to do the same thing. But if not, maybe they're going to, you'll see what their ego is like. The ego is nothing but a lot of thoughts that you think are you. So if you've got two people that have got a lot of thoughts spinning around their head that are hooking your attention and wanting to be expressed out through your mouth, that's what two egos are. They're two giant balls of thought form facing off against one another. And they want to wrestle. And the poor humans that think that these thoughts need to be expressed, express them, unless you know that this is the trick. That they want to basically enslave you. Thinking thoughts want to enslave you. They'll grab your attention and they'll take you off on whatever they want to go, not where you want to go. So I say, if you want to get into flow, you've got to, first of all, you got to identify the fact that these thoughts are not your thoughts. They're thoughts that have popped into your head, but they're not your thoughts. They're not you. Some people identify. They say, if this thought came to my head and it comes out of my mouth, or if I write it down or type it down, it's my thought and I own it. That's just stupid. It's just, I mean, that's a whole other lecture. But I mean, seriously, if you think that the thought that arose in your head is yours, you've got a lot of work to do. Okay, let's see. So the idea is, first you have to learn that the thoughts that are spinning around your head are not your thoughts and they're not you. And you have to keep coming back to that idea so that eventually you can get to the point where the thoughts are running around your head and you can decide whether or not you want to open your mouth and express these thoughts. Sometimes you'll start expressing the thoughts and it'll dawn on you, I don't like the things I'm saying. I don't like them. So you'll catch yourself and you'll just stop talking. And the thoughts, maybe for a second, the thought itself will go, "What? You stopped talking?" And then it'll start talking to you and say, "There's nothing wrong with my thought. This is a good thought. You should be speaking." It'll start talking to you. A thought is a thing, and it's not you. It's like a completely different being that possesses you. You know, you've heard of demonic possessions? Thoughts are demons, and they'll possess you. So you have to learn about that. Okay, so once you get to the point where you get pretty good at identifying these thoughts running in your head and grabbing your attention and wanting to possess you like your little voodoo doll, you can it's good to go and go in a quiet place and meditate. So meditating is basically watching your mind, watching if it's empty or watching if there's thoughts. That's where you start with. The more you do this, the more you will have a calm mind. And when you have a calm mind, and if you can calm your mind for great periods of time, if you can calm your mind for an hour a day, that it would be miraculous. The change you would see, you would get into the flow. Because if you can stop the thoughts from going in your head, then your intuitive mind, which doesn't use thoughts, the intuitive mind does not use thoughts. Thoughts are a very stupid form of intelligence. They're very stupid. The intuitive mind does not need thoughts. So if you've got a quiet mind and you get to the point where you work with your quiet mind all the time, your quiet mind, and you can just do this trick. You can just get your quiet mind and move your feet and see where your feet take you. Or if you've got a quiet mind and you're driving in your car, no intention as to where you want to go. It's just get in the car and then quiet your mind and just start driving and turn where you feel like you want to turn. It's your intuitive mind will bring you places. And this is how you will start to see synchronicities, in other words, meaningful coincidences. So if your intuition says, I want to hear the, and you could put some music on, and you're driving along, and lo and behold, there'll be something in a song or something that the radio announcer says that will be, in your head. You'll register it in your head, and at the same time, your eyes will see perhaps a sign or a license plate or something on the side of a car that's directly relevant to what you're hearing. So that's synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, and you won't notice them until to get into intuitive mind, because the intuitive mind is the one that sets up the synchronicities for you. So as you go along and you have more and more synchronicities, this is what's called flow. And if you can keep up your flow will bring you to wonderful places. Wonderful places. Now, the caveat is that your thinking mind thinks you're ignoring it, and it will come back with a vengeance. Once it figures it's like a little 2-year old that thinks it's being ignored, it'll start up. It'll start up again, it'll start up again, and it'll want to fight you like you're in a boxing ring, the thinking mind. And to this day, I don't have a thinking mind that bothers me. What I have is other people's thinking minds that, believe it or not, it's like telepathy. People's minds connect to me, and then their thinking comes, and it is incredibly annoying. Nothing is more annoying than other people's stupid thoughts. So, what do I tell these people? I say you need to learn to meditate and calm your mind. And it's very difficult because it's just like talking to somebody new who's never meditated before. They might have. So, let me just recap. So, we are talking about how do you get into the flow? The flow is like you want the highest and best for yourself, and you have to get to the wisdom of the universe, which is far more brilliant than even Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking or any brilliant scientist. The universe is far more brilliant than these ones. So you have to get to that mind, which means you have to unfortunately let go of your human mind, which is used to using thought to do things. And then I told you that thoughts are like little children. They're not you, and most people think that the thoughts in their head are theirs. That's the mistake number one, huge mistake. The thoughts in my head are my thoughts, and mistake number two is that I must express the thoughts that are in my head, usually to the nearest person. Sometimes a thought in your head is, I've got to go out and buy a new car and put myself into debt, which means that I'm going to have to work for the next 10 years at some job that I don't want to do to pay off the debt because some thought got in my head, usually through advertising. The thing is that people in the advertising business know all about how easy it is to brainwash people. And so they put their ads on television and on billboards and on radios and on t shirts. So you have to get smart. And to get smart, it's very difficult because, everyone's whole life they're taught, you go to a classroom when you're a child and you're taught, and, they say, well, this is what you have to do, creative writing. You have to start thinking or sit there and think up an answer. Well, thinking implies thoughts. Well, I mean, thinking got us in the planet as far as we are. So, is it all bad? Well, I want to throw it all away, but let's just say thank you, thoughts, for bringing us to the point where we don't need you anymore. So, we want to use our intuition And the intuition is directly connected to the wisdom of the universe, which will bring, we don't even have to have desires.